What's up, YouTube? I'm Sweet Deat, and I'm here to tell you if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. Want to know what I'm talking about? Let's go. Hey everybody, how you doing? What's going on? I'm Sweet Deat, as I said before, and I'm so glad that you found my channel. If you're creative, you're going to find a lot of really good stuff here that you can use, like business tips from beginner to advanced, finance ideas, strategy, even music tips if you're a musician like me. All of this information is for you to have 100% free because it's information. Somebody gave it to me for free at some point, so I pass it to you. I'm very excited to talk about this particular topic because I feel like there's sort of a misunderstanding amongst the creative community as to whether or not you can afford this. I would think that if you polled anybody within the industry, they would probably say no, that most people couldn't. But the truth is, almost everyone can. And in certain situations, it could be one of the most powerful tools you have in your tool belt to land a client or to make your life a lot easier as a creative. But before we get too far into it, you know what's coming if you're an experienced listener and watcher of the channel. It's time to talk about the artist of the day. Today's artist is a band that does not have a record out, but there's tons of live clips you can watch, and they're totally insane. How insane, you might ask? How about pro wrestler insane? That group is called the Wednesday Night Titans. It's an incredible duo of improvisationally based music that features my friend Kevin Scott and the drum virtuoso Zach Danziger, who, in addition to playing with tons of jazz legends, he's also the composer for a lot of the Ocean's movies, like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, etc. Kevin, on the other hand, has played with all kinds of incredible artists. That includes someone that I mentioned previously, Jimmy Herring. So how does improvisational music somehow pair with wrestling? Well, it's best seen to really experience, but they take old historic wrestling clips of all sorts of famous wrestlers from their day and put together these improvisational loops and songs together to form this crazy soundscape that goes along with the wrestlers wrestling on a big screen while you're watching them play. It's crazy, but you got to check it out. So, just as always, I'll leave a link in the description below, and you can check out all the Wednesday Night Titan clips you want. Let's face it, we're not all good at everything, and it's kind of counterproductive to even try in some cases to be so excellent at everything, like being a financial planner and also a creative at the same time. Maybe you can get like a couple of those things together, but chances are you won't be able to get everything. So it's important that you learn how to outsource and build people around you to make your creative life better. So today we talk about a virtual assistant. A virtual assistant is simply someone who provides support for an entrepreneur or a creative like yourself and maybe doesn't even live in the same city as you. They handle tasks like social media management, event management, managing calendars, appointments, or emails, preparing reports, personal tasks like booking flight arrangements or hotel arrangements, and even simple digital marketing tasks. So even though these people aren't in the same city as you or even the same state as you, they can be a vital part of your business. If you don't already know, later in this video, I'll reveal how much one costs, and you're going to be really surprised after I give you all the things that they can do for you. So let's get started with number 1, administrative work. Probably the most obvious thing, but as a creative, they can answer your phone calls, they can answer your emails, they can do a lot of in-between work with clients if you're really busy, say, working on a project with another client. From my own experience, I remember the first time something like this happened for me. I was in the middle of a film shoot for one of the bands that I represent, and it was very complex, and there was lots of moving things happening all at the same time. And next thing I know, I get an email that looks like something that's really important. Before I had a chance to even pick up my phone and call my assistant to help me nurture this client that had just come in, she had already handled it, which, believe me, is a huge, huge advantage. And it just really takes the weight off of your mind that you're making sure you're giving the client everything that they need to make them feel important. So if you're a small business, you might not have an actual brick and mortar location to where you go and do work every day. You might be doing it right out of an office like this one that I'm in right now. The only real difference between an admin assistant and a virtual assistant is the virtual one is just located somewhere else. So this point is pretty straightforward. Moving on to number 2, personal tasks. Do you ever feel like you're just totally overwhelmed with work? You've got a client over here asking for something, and you've got a client over here asking for something, and there's probably like one over here, and they're just like, hey, could you get me this too? It just gets to be overwhelming at times. Trying to keep dates together, times together, all the logistics for each particular event, what songs you're playing if you're a musician like me. All these types of details can be easily lost in, like, say, a long email chain. That's why having someone like a virtual assistant will help. They'll organize all of this information to make sure that you always show up prepared and ready to go. They can organize your personal to-do list, book all your travel arrangements. They can help you make gifts for clients, which this is something that my administrative assistant does for me a lot. I will personalize and think about a gift that really impacts the person that I want to give a gift to. And a lot of times I'll have her just go ahead and make those purchases on my behalf. A lot of these tasks don't have to be handled by you. They can be handled by somebody else, like your virtual assistant. Number 3, content creation. If you've been following anything on social media, you know that content is king these days. Just putting out pieces of content after pieces of content can get really taxing on one particular individual. Having someone like a virtual assistant that maybe has your vision in mind for your brand or your stylings could really help you really speed up the amount of pieces of content that you have to put out for the world to consume. So if you're a creative that's a photographer or a musician or an artist and you want to be top of mind with somebody that you really want to work with, putting out content all the time really helps. And having someone like a virtual assistant near you will definitely lighten the load. And number 4, managing finances. Now, before you go run off and try to replace your accountant, let's manage those expectations just a little bit. While your virtual assistant maybe could do a lot of those details, it's maybe better if they help manage them. So maybe they help with assisting with a budget for a particular project that you have. Maybe they help keep track of expenses and file them accordingly. The result is when tax season comes around, you won't be running around with a chicken with your head cut off, so to speak, looking for all the pieces of information that you need to give to your accountant. They can help with that too. All right, for number 5, we're talking about social media management. There's no better way to get word out about what you do these days for the cost than social media. It's likely where most people are going to see you and want to talk and get to know who you are. People can also draw conclusions on who you are just simply from your social media page, and it seems to be a little bit more personal than a lot of websites you see. This is definitely crucial for any creative because a lot of times we showcase our art on these mediums just to let people know who we are. So they could be in charge of creating content for all the media accounts, engaging with people that maybe say something nice of something you posted. They can also gather data from the social media post and present those to you as well so you know what kind of content is really working. While this is something you can easily outsource, and maybe before you do to that 20-something-year-old in your office that is really good with these kinds of things, it's really important that you cast that vision as to who you are and what you're all about before you just hand over the keys, so to speak. I think it's also important that if you are going to hand over social media responsibilities, that you have a really solid talk very consistently, like maybe once a week, about the stuff you're posting, and also to remind them who you are and what you're about and what your business is about or your creative work is about. Number 6 is research. There's constantly things changing in the world as we speak in regards to your creative world. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody was just out there keeping tabs on what the trends were? What's gone viral? What's fallen sort of out of vogue? Having someone keep up with the trends of today and all the research will really help you progress and make sure you're always staying in the lane that is being most viewed. So having someone just keeping a pulse on what's going on that's in trend and maybe falling out of trend may save you a lot of money. Number 7, customer service. This one is a really, really big one. We as creatives don't always have the best reputation for getting back to people on time or working on a time frame at all. Sometimes we just get so consumed with our art that we just forget about the world that's around us. And that's kind of what makes us unique. Being able to block out the world and just focus in on something and create something that then could be representative of the world that you're in really moves people. But if you're trying to get hired and you're trying to also use your art as a medium for work, having someone like a virtual assistant will really up your game in the eyes of the client. Think about it. Somebody doesn't know you and they're reaching out to you for the first time. If they're greeted with a virtual assistant just simply saying hello and gathering their information for a potential phone call, it really shows organizational stability. And there's nothing that a client likes more than very quick responses, especially ones that are filled with organization and clarity. Number 8, email management. That's right. Sounds ridiculous, but let me explain. Think about all the emails you have in your inbox right now. They probably run together like an endless stream of information. But it doesn't have to be that way. It can be very organized and very detailed that makes it very easy for you to find what you need when you need it. We as creatives do so much all the time. Some things we can just simply give to someone else and they'll probably do a better job of organizing it. I kind of relate this with like house cleaning in a way. Every person has like sort of their way of cleaning a house, but whenever you get somebody that's a professional in there that steps in and maybe cleans your house for the first time ever, all of a sudden you see things sparkle in a way that you've never seen them sparkle before. Having your virtual assistant manage your email box is a great thing, and she'll have it spick and span and looking good. So, how's that? That's a lot to think about, right? Now, the best part. How much do they cost? You might be surprised that a virtual assistant can cost you as little as $12 an hour. They also range all the way up to $20 and $30 an hour, and probably even farther than that. The more specific skill sets that you want likely will cost you more. The most important thing in finding a virtual assistant is someone that you really connect with and that you really, really trust. Having someone put their hands on your creative world is really scary. But truthfully, not learning to let go and letting someone else handle some of these affairs can be a detriment to your growth as a creative. In the comments below, I'm going to leave a link to the third-party company that I hired to handle my virtual assistant. They did a search out into the world, found candidates that best suited me from a personality standpoint and from a skill set standpoint, and then presented those clients to me. I interviewed them and then made the decision that worked out best for me. There are companies out there that do this for you, and they may cost a little bit more, but they're also really, really good at pairing you with somebody that you like. Whew, that was a lot. I think we'll end it there. So, until next time, I'm Sweet Deat. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and feel free to enjoy all the resources that I have for you that's available right here on my channel. If you get a question, you can always email me. If you have a comment, you're always free to leave it below. And I hope you have a great day. Until next time.